What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Contractor Secrets Podcast. Today, I sit down with Michael Gore-Hickman. He is the founder of Painter Growth Blueprint. For those of you painting contractors out there that are looking for some insight on what a great coaching program looks like, Mike is doing a great job. And I think you'll feel his passion in this interview I do with him to kind of just spread the word. You know, it's important for you guys to get different aspects of what's out there, and you make a decision if this is something that you want to do. But I think Mike's a great guy, and I think he has a good heart for painting contractors as a whole. He's actually interesting because he used to be a marketing. He used to own a marketing agency, and actually gave that up to double down on coaching, mostly for the impact. So that's why I wanted to share his story with you. Some of his insights and advice starts right now. Contractors all over the world are wanting more time, more freedom, more impact. The way we do this is through implementing systems, processes, standards. Welcome to the Contractor Secrets Podcast. Here we hit business strategy, coaching, mindset, motivation, the tools you need for success. So strap in, listen up, and get ready to grow on the Contractor Secrets Podcast. Here we go. What is going on, everyone? Here I have Mike Gore-Hickman. You've seen his ads. You may have seen the logo. Bringing him live in the Painting Contractors group and on the Contractor Secrets Podcast. Mike, happy to have you here. I want to just kick this off. I'm going to give you an opportunity to kind of tell us your story, man. You know, it's an interesting journey you had. Had the pleasure of speaking with you for an extensive amount of time, not too long ago. And due to some awesome circumstances, we're here again. So give us a little brief on who you are, your story, and how you plan to impact the painting economy.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate this opportunity. So
sure.
Yeah, you may have, if you're a painter, you may have seen my ads, seen my social at one point or another. But I'm Mike Gore-Hickman, founder of paintergrowth.com. We're currently mid-rebrand. And basically, we teach painting contractors how to be killer business owners. There's a lot of unknowns and uncertainties and an overwhelm of information out there on how to be business owners that sometimes it can be overwhelming. So I'm here to provide clarity, provide the right systems, and provide growth. It's also as important. I got some notes because I didn't want to forget anything. A really common misconception that I hear when I talk to painters is that leads equals business growth. Sure. And that couldn't be further from the truth, right? You can give someone 100 leads, but if they got leaks in their bucket and you're trying to fill this bucket up with water, that bucket is never going to get full. So we need systems, we need leadership, we need accountability, we need sales, we need marketing, we need production systems, we need hiring systems. So growth is all of those things and more. And that's what I'm doing now. But you wanted a bit of my story, how I got here?
Well, I mean, I think most of the people that know you may have seen you as a marketing agency, which you are not anymore.
Yes, actually, that is correct. So long story short, I run a painting company for about 4 or 5 years. Grew it pretty significantly. We're doing mid ones per month, 150,000 per month or something like that. It was great. The production manager had 5-6 crews. We were doing big jobs, little jobs, commercial, residential. Had to move cities because my wife got moved, and who am I going to pick? Ended up moving my wife. We got 2 beautiful girls now, and a puppy, and basically had to start over. I didn't want to start my painting company again in a new business or a new city where I had no connections. So I actually got an opportunity to work online, learn the online world, learn the marketing world specifically, and did that for about 5 years. Then launched my own thing. So being in a marketing space now, I launched a marketing agency, which was good. And we got good results, but I wasn't satisfied with good results, right? So I wanted to get great results. So I actually read Alex Hormozi's book, $100 Million Offers. And I had the most mental clarity I've ever had from that book. And I created a training program called the Painter Growth Blueprint, which you may have heard before.
Yes.
Now, the results that we've gotten from Painter Growth Blueprint, I mean, even right out of the gate, blew away all my expectations for what is possible in terms of helping painters grow their businesses from like a startup or 5 or 10K a month, or maybe they're stuck at 20K or crew or two, to that like 50,000 per month, 80,000 per month, 150,000 per month. Like, you know, the impact that I'm able to have by coaching and training and teaching and holding accountable painting contractors rather than selling them leads essentially with marketing services has just been, it's been day and night. It's been absolute. So we are going all in on coaching, all in on Painter Growth Blueprint. And now we have, paintergrowth.com, which is a testament to that.
So you said, you know, I know we spoke about it, but I mean, honestly, you were getting leads for painting contractors, and that was it. Like, you know, you get them the lead, you know, and then it's not as deep as coaching and diving really deep into the systems. And I love coaching, obviously not on a structured level. I have enough on my plate, but I love giving advice. I love hearing the ins and outs of the painting business and seeing, obviously we know what a successful one looks like, or what we think is to be successful. And then, you know, you're really, you know, diving into the nuts and bolts. So tell me what that looks like on you know, through your eyes, man. I mean, what have you learned since doing this coaching thing?
Oh man, I've learned that, like, a lot of times, and I'm sure you know this, a coaching call can often be like a what do you call it? Like a psychotherapy session, right?
I agree.
It's about, like, a lot of the time it's about, you know, it's not necessarily about like do this thing, but it's like, how can I help you get out of your own way? What type of preconceived notions or beliefs do you have that's stopping you from achieving your goals? And so, like, the systems and the training and the actual, like, do this is a big part of it for sure. Whoa, can we make these comments smaller?
This is just a really good one I wanted to pop up here.
Oh,
you know,
okay. I thought that was just like a comment. Like, I hope all comments aren't going to be like that.
No, you know, this is, I don't know who this was. It doesn't tell us on the streaming app, but you know, this is good stuff, man. It looks like you made an impact here. You know, and I love that, man. Continue. I'm soaking it up.
Okay, wicked. So it's about getting them out of their own way, but it's also about, you know, do this, like the specific systems. So leads and sales, always, like, we start with that, because if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. You know, I can be an entrepreneur, but if I don't have something that I'm selling and I just have like an idea, I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm just an unemployed guy with an idea.
Sure.
So sales and lead. I'm sorry?
It needs to sell.
You gotta sell. We did a group coaching call on Fridays. I do something called office hours. And one of my clients was on the call and he's like, I own my painting business, but I hate selling. I'm like, man, you got into the wrong business.
Yeah.
And not painting, entrepreneurship.
Sure.
To be an entrepreneur, you have to be comfortable selling yourself. And I have a quick example. Client of mine, Kyle Stark, if you're watching, what's up, man? Gonna call you out. So he's in Pacific Northwest, and he joined the program doing 10, 15K a month or so, and would never ask for a job. He had this belief that if he asked the customer for the job on the spot, he would get shut down. The customer would give him a negative, you know, reaction or a bad review. He didn't want to be pushy. And we worked through this. He started following like my script, my template on how to ask for the job, what to say, when to say it. And I'm going to get the number wrong, but he booked something like $40,000 or $50,000 that next week, like on the spot.
What a shift. I mean, and I can attest to that. I mean, I think somebody that doesn't know what they don't know when it comes to that, and then they do it in such a organic way that the customer is almost like, you know, okay, I'll give you a chance. And what that'll do is surprise them in a sense, like, oh, okay, I saved the headache of following up, and I saved, you know, wow, that felt good. And, you know, do you ever teach on like riding that momentum and not being like overly excited about that? I feel like that could happen, right? I mean, you know, I think riding the momentum, keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it.
Yeah, not so much. I mean, there's absolutely value in that. But you only have so much bandwidth that you can provide someone to. So we can't get into every, you know, aspect of business, but there's absolutely value in that. The more important one that I would think of, or that I would put more value on, would be the sales rut.
Sure.
Like when someone is stuck in a rut and they're getting no after no after no, and they don't know why. And then helping them get out of that. Because that can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, oh, I got this great lead. I'm getting this full interior and exterior, and I'm going to go give them a quote, but I know I'm not going to get it because my price is too high, or I don't have the best logo. The customer's never heard of my company, but I don't believe my painters can complete this job. I don't want to lose money on this project. It's too big. I'm not worth it. I'm not good enough. And there's these like preconceived notions that people tell themselves that, and they just spiral.
Right.
So that type of psychological work can be literally move mountains for people.
It can. And it's just, I get like their identity. I think when I first started my business, I came in with the idea that although I am horrible at painting and learning, I'm going to make sure that you're happy. I'll figure it out. I'll stay late. There were nights that I stayed to 9 o'clock, wiping things, cleaning things, just fixing things. But my desire to satisfy my customer was number one. I mean, and I can definitely attest to, to understanding how powerful that could be. It's just really shifting the mindset.
Yeah. I mean, I remember this one project I was painting on, and I really wanted to get this job done for this homeowner. And I was like up on a ladder, like painting a soffit, and it was like 9 o'clock at night and it was dark. And the guy came out and he didn't know that I was still there. And he's like taking his garbage out and he's like, "Oh man, what are you doing?" They call the police on me. I'm like, I gotta get this job done. I got another job starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
So totally get that commitment.
Yeah.
But going back, so leads and sales, we start with that, right? We help solve that. We help people understand that they can get an abundance of leads. So there's 3 ways to get leads, right? And that's it. You can get a referral, you can buy a lead, or you can get your own leads. So we break them down into those categories. So buying leads is basically, you can go to Home Advisor, you can go to Angie's List, you can buy Facebook ads, and you're buying a lead. You're just temporarily solving a problem. Then there's referrals, and referrals are wonderful. Referrals are the best leads. You'll close 90% of the estimates that you get from referrals. But it's not you can't say, I'm going to get 10 referrals next week. You can't scale a company. You can grow a company with referrals, but you can't scale a company with referrals. And that leaves getting your own leads. And so this is what we teach. We have a whole bunch of different varieties of systems and strategies to help teach those leads, but it's not just the what we do, but it's also the nuance and the accountability and the support that people need, but they don't get in their day-to-day lives.
Accountability. And I think in any coaching program, that's the most important thing. It's just the accountability. It's having someone to bounce ideas off of and to give you direction in a sense, but ultimately you're responsible, right? Like it's just a matter of, are you going to take our advice and then implement? And I think with like leads, a lot of these individuals who own, home service industries haven't had experience really understanding the dynamic of how leads buy. And they maybe make generalizations. Oh, they didn't answer the phone, they're not interested, or they didn't buy from me. They're only going for the cheaper price. And there's an aspect of creativity and consistency when it comes to nurturing leads and following up that just curious, do you teach any of that? I mean, are you heavy on the follow-up process? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah. Follow-up's important. I mean, preferably, so in the sales process, you get a lead. And the first step is like setting the expectation with a homeowner that you're going to go to the estimate to close a job, to win a job. You're not just going to give them a price because you don't have time for that. You don't drive across town.
I would love to know what the approach is for that.
Sure. Yeah. So essentially we have like a 10-step process. I think it's 10 steps. Maybe it's 11, maybe it's 9, something like that. But essentially what we want to do, we get that lead, and then on the call in which you're setting up the estimate, we call it the lights out setup call. Basically, you want to set the expectation and set the stage to maximize your chances of success at the estimate, right? So the details, you get the logistical details out of the place, what time you're going to be there and what the address is. Then once that's set, you need to get into the next, more important, or, equally as important, decision makers, right? Is everyone present? We have a few different ways that we can ask that. So you don't just say, hey, is your husband going to be there? It's not the best. You can't ask that anymore. So you get decision makers, you get kind of like job scope, you get timeline. All right. So, if we come out and the price is fair and you like us, like, when are you thinking about getting the work done? When do you want to get this done, just to see if it's even possible in your timeline? Okay. And if we're in your budget, right? And then a really important part of it is that what I call a trial close. Have you ever heard of a trial close before?
I have.
Yeah, great. So trial close is essentially asking for the job with conditions, before you even get to that point. It's like, all
Sure.
right, Mary, I've had a great chat with you so far today. So if we come out to your home and we give you a price and the price is fair for the work that we're going to do, and you trust that we're going to do a good job, are you going to be ready to book with us?
Like that.
And then they're either going to say yes, which is great, or no, I'm only price shopping. It's like, oh, okay, well, we actually don't just come out and give prices. Like, we're only actually going to come to your house if, you're serious about getting work done. So you just saved yourself some time. What might also happen is if you give that type of pushback, the homeowner might shift. Like, oh, no. We are actually thinking about getting the work done. I just didn't want to lay it all out or whatever. Like, you'll get that type of
Sure.
candidate sometimes. So the trial close, super, super important. And
Now,
then you
for
can
some listening to this, that seems a little uncomfortable.
for what? For just the average.
I mean, even just even in some cases, just being that forward on the phone with a potential opportunity when opportunities are hard to come by in most cases for some. How do you combat that? How do you get someone to be comfortable with being so bold on the phone about expectations?
Yeah, that's fair. And everyone will have a different threshold that they're comfortable with. If building a business was easy, everyone would do it. That's what I always refer back to. So you have to get out of your comfort zone in order to get the result that people who are not willing to get out of their comfort zone, will
Because you
never
might
experience.
think that in some cases you could rub a customer the wrong way with this dialogue and say, "Oh well, then fine, goodbye," and be risking a bad review. In some cases, there's those thoughts. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that for someone who has never done anything like this in terms of setting expectations, they'll just go to the estimate, and kind of really not have any sort of preliminary trial close in place to set expectation. Things like this is foreign. How do you give someone the confidence to be comfortable doing this, knowing that again they could lose an opportunity this way, they could risk a bad review,
For
they could
sure.
rub someone the wrong way. I mean, these are some of the drawbacks of doing this. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And what I say in that situation is that all of our systems and all of these processes are the ultimate end goal. You
Right.
never just jump in and try to hit all 10 steps on the first call. You pick one. It's like, okay, on this call, I'm not going to care about the decision makers. I'm not going to talk about timeline. I'm not going to talk about price. I'm just going to do a trial close. So you just have a conversation, talk about the job, and then do a trial close. All right,
Sure.
Mrs. Homeowner. And this is, you tell me if you think this is forward. And if anyone in the comments want to say, just like saying this. All right, Mary. So really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm going to give you a quote on, the siding and soffit on your home. Just out of curiosity, like if we come out and you trust us, and you like me, you think we're going to do a good job and the price is fair, are you going to be ready to book in with us?
I think that's
Not too forward,
sure.
right?
No,
Pretty
that was yeah,
casual.
sure. And then I think again, it's repetition. I mean, obviously, tonality helps, and just making sure that you're dancing around those words in a way that gets you a certain level of commitment from the customer. Which is important.
And that's why it's nice to have a script too. Like not
Sure.
necessarily a script that you're going to exactly follow,
Yeah.
but talking points and an outline. And maybe
Yep.
if you do have to default back to that one line that you need to read, then you just read it at least that time.
Justin wants to know, what if Mary says no?
If Mary says, no, I'm not willing to book in.
Yeah.
Well, Mary, you're like 25 minutes away. I wouldn't actually say that. It's not about your time. It's about them.
Sure.
We don't actually provide estimates for people who aren't serious about getting work done right now. So when you are serious about getting a quote and you're a little bit closer to getting your project completed, give us a call. I'll be happy to come out.
Sure. And I think there's a lot to that in terms of setting it. I think, getting to that point, man, if you've done a really good job setting expectations of building up the value of your company and what that experience looks like, generally speaking, they're going to say, well, yeah, I mean, and that's what you're aiming toward. And I think I know that, obviously playing the advocate here. But yes, very powerful stuff, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So, we'll go back
how are you transitioning that to the in-person?
So psychologically, when you ask that, will you be willing to book in, you've kind of almost started a timer with the homeowner. Like they
Sure.
now expect that if everything does go well and they do like the price and they do like you and they trust you, they're going to be ready to book in, right? So how that translates to the estimate is professionalism at estimates is like a whole
It's a whole world.
module, whole world, right?
Sure.
So
Oh, yeah.
guys, for your estimates, show up exactly on time. If I
Yep.
was 2 minutes early, I would sit in my car or sit in my truck until like 10 o'clock on the nose, right?
Yeah.
Then I would hit the door like right as the clock hit 10. People were like blown away by that. They're like, I've never had a contractor that on time before. If I was running 1 minute late, I would call the customer and say, hey, Mary, I'm going to be a minute late. It's such an easy thing to do, but the immediate trust that the customer gets in you, because they're going to apply how you perform at that estimate to how your crews are going to perform on the job site. So if you're 10 minutes late, they're going to assume your painters are going to be 10 minutes late.
Right.
If you come dressed sloppily, they're going to assume your painters are sloppy. If you're not organized, they're going to assume your painters are unorganized. So do your best, make a first impression, be organized, be clean, wear logoed stuff, have all your paperwork there, have before and after pictures, have a nice professional brochure or binder that you can show them while you're doing your numbers.
You know what's funny about that is I actually see people looking at the logo on my polo. You know, like it's one of those things that when I'm in a dialogue, it's like an immediate. They're like trust builder, boom, logo on the hat, logo on the shirt, good company, brochure. You know, like the whole. It does matter.
It does. If you come in with paint on your hands and a dirty shirt and like ripped pants or old pants, like they're going to assume that your painters are going to be like that or worse if you have painters, or if you're a one-man show, they're going to expect pricing like a one-man show.
Right.
And you don't want to have to price like a one-man show.
Right. No, you don't.
Yeah. So professionalism is super huge. Be right on time. And then again, reiterate the expectations. All right, Mary, here's how my estimates work. We're going to sit down at the table. We're going to chat about your scope. Then you can take me on a walk around. You can show me exactly what you want. You can point out any areas of concern. I'm going to write them down to make sure I don't forget them. And then I'm going to go to my car and I'm going to write up the proposal. And I'm going to use Dripjobs.
Good idea.
Get your 14-day trial for free. So then any type of professional proposal, it doesn't have to be digital. It can be paper. I used paper. So just like detailed proposal, exactly what you're going to do. Different pricing options. If you're pricing out different rooms, just have it all laid out. And most importantly, write out what was important to them when you spoke to them. So if you're doing a discovery call, if you're like in there talking to the homeowner and they're like, have you ever had an experience with another contractor before? It's like, oh yeah, I had a roofer and they left nails everywhere. Or yeah, I hired a plumber and I had no idea when they were here, when they were coming and going. There was no communication. Okay, well, what they're telling you is what's important to them. Less of a reflection of what happened, but more of a reflection of what they perceived happening and what's important to them. So if that roofer left nails everywhere, well, you better bet that I'm going to hammer home job site tidiness and post-job cleanup.
Sure.
Right. So when we come, and we come on a job every single day, we're going to do a full, thorough tidy. And then after we're done, the home is actually going to be cleaner than when we got here. You just sell that point. They don't care what product you use. They don't care if you're using Sherwin or Dulux or whatever, Benjamin Moore. 99% of homeowners just want to be heard. And to be heard, you need to ask them about their needs, ask them about their challenges, ask them about their past experiences, and then sell to those.
This is good. And I want to make a point here because it's so funny, man. They may have never hired a painting contractor before, but if they hired a roofing contractor that gave them a poor experience, they automatically put us in that category. Isn't that weird? It's like almost if you went to a restaurant and you had a bad experience and then you went to go buy a car, but you're skeptical to buy the car because you had a bad experience at a restaurant. There's no other industry that has that sort of overlap, but contractors. A plumber could screw you over. You don't trust me immediately. So
every time I talk to a friend or a family member or something, have you ever hired a painter before?
Yeah.
Okay. What was that like? They're like, I mean, it was fine. Okay. Did they show up on time? I mean, I think they gave me a window. Okay. Like what was their proposal like? Oh, he texted me a price like 2 days later.
Right.
Or maybe he didn't even text the price back, or maybe they didn't show up for the estimate. Like the bar is so low.
It is.
It is
It
so
is.
low. You just got to jump over that bar and you can blow customers' expectations away. It's incredible.
You really can. So there's a lot of good there to unpack, man. I think, in terms of, I want to get into more of like, the coaching aspect. There's some people that don't know what to expect. It's a commitment. Now they have, homework, what does it look like if somebody wants to jump in with you, and divulge into that, man?
Yeah, sure. So before I do that, basically we had leads and sales, and that's what we've been talking about so far. Once you solve that, the next is team and time.
Sure.
You need a team and you need your time. So most contractors or most any business people are running around 60 hours a week and they have no idea where their time went. But every single person in the world has the same number of hours in a day. So do you have the people on your team that are accomplishing what you need? And are you delegating the proper tasks to them so that you have time to focus on the high impact activities? Like estimates and sales are very high impact. You can make $1,000 an hour doing estimates. Painting, you can make $50 an hour. But people are like, oh, I can't do an estimate until 6 p.m. because I'm painting all day. Okay, so you're going to put off $1,000 an hour activity so that you can make $50 an hour? That's what you're telling me. It's like, oh, no, but I need to get it done because this, that, and another thing, right? Okay, this is what, do you need to, or is this what you're telling yourself? Right? So now it's about setting expectations maybe with a homeowner. If you're having trouble getting off the tools, setting expectations with the homeowner so that you can spend at least a little bit of time on those higher impact activities, right? And then it's about maybe cutting your work down to 20 hours a week and then spending 20 hours or 30 hours on those high impact activities. Then maybe it's cutting down further and then further until you're off the tools. And now you got to figure out what else you're doing with your time, how to be productive with that newfound freedom that you have that isn't actually freedom when you know what you need to do.
True.
Okay, so team and time, and then systems and scale. Systems and scale is about like processes and standard operating procedures and really the things that you need to build your business to like $1 million or beyond, because you can't hustle your way to $1 million.
No.
To do $80,000 a month in production, you cannot paint yourself out of that corner. You need systems, you need processes, you need leadership. And if you don't have that, you are going to have problems.
Absolutely. I think, I call them the double D's, man. Delegation and duplication. I think you have to really understand the aspect of cloning yourself in your business to the closest possible clone you can get. When you're on the job, can you create a system that's just as good, if not even better, than you being on the job? And that's hard, man. I think that's
I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I'm going to push back on that a little bit because everyone is going to say, there's no one else like me that I can hire. I can do all of these things and only I can do them. Okay, that may be true, but each of the tasks that you do can be delegated one at a time. And that's how business grows. You start as the business owner doing everything. And as you grow, certain aspects of your responsibility become jobs in themselves. And as you delegate, as you offload those responsibilities to other people, your time doesn't necessarily free up, but you get to spend your time on higher and higher leverage activities, right? The first that you get off your plate is, maybe some bookkeeping. The second thing that you maybe get off your plate is painting. Third thing is maybe running paint around. The fourth thing might be marketing. The fifth thing might be sales. The sixth thing might be general management, right? And so what I often say is that your ability to grow your business is limited only by your ability to delegate more and more complex tasks. The bigger your business grows, the more complex tasks the owner needs to do, and it becomes that much harder to delegate those tasks to other people. To delegate painting is not hard, but to delegate payroll might be a little bit harder. To delegate your marketing systems might be a little bit harder, and it just gets harder and harder as you grow bigger and bigger. And your limit, it will be that limit in which you can no longer delegate.
Right. And I think, the important thing is to do it before you need to do it. I think trying to delegate things in the midst of chaos creates more chaos. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah. I mean, there's arguments on both sides, right? Because that can be expensive. If you want to hire painters, but you don't have a full-time load to hire a painter, for example, right?
True. But I believe in that little tug, right? I think once you have that pressure, with a new painter on staff, there's a certain level of creativity and resourcefulness that gets unlocked, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been there, right? Running out, you see the runway of like 10 painters I was running one time, and I had like 5 days of work left. And I'm like,
Yeah.
looking
Oh,
at
I've been there. But
I'm
you
like,
figure it out, don't you?
you figure it out. You rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
Yeah.
if my painters don't have work on Monday, not only are they leaving, like I'm going to be screwed for the rest of the summer. So, yeah, you definitely rise to the occasion.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So I guess what you said before about like coaching, a lot of people have preconceived notions about coaching, and maybe a little bit like, not necessarily scared, but like skeptical of having a coach. Have you ever heard that?
Skeptical about having a coach? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the reason why you're here is for people to get to know you a little bit, at least my audience. And I think that's the first step, is having some credibility,
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So, basically, like, yeah, what we do is when we start working with a painter, and typically if they're doing less than like 30 or 40,000 a month, anywhere from like startup to like that 30 or $40,000 per month, is we get them into what's called our Painter Growth Blueprint. And this is our flagship 90-day training program to help them get, what we say is like help you add $30,000 to your monthly sales in 90 days, guaranteed. And we start with this because it's so fundamental. Even some of the businesses that have come in that are doing 100 or 150,000 a month, they don't have some of these fundamental systems. So we showed them how to get really good at sales, really good at getting Google reviews, really good at closing estimates, and then really good at lead flow, and then introductions to the rest of the aspects, hiring, systems, and whatnot. And it's actually been incredible, the results that the clients have gotten. I got a message from a client today. I'm gonna call him John. I'm not gonna use his real name. And I get a lot of testimonials and thank yous and stuff. And I'm not humble bragging, but they're like, okay, great. Like I'm proud of you. Really good job. But I was reading this from this one client, and it's the first time I was ever reading a testimonial or like a thank you. And actually, I was like choking up, like I had tears forming in my eyes. I'm not even joking. So basically, this client, and if you're listening, thank you for letting me use you as an example. I'm not going to say your name, but he had a ton of self-limiting beliefs. When he came in November, he went through some of the training. He's like, oh, I've tried this before. This doesn't work. This won't work in my area. This won't work for my company. It's not going to work for me for this, that, and another thing. I want my money back. I can't believe I got scammed by you. And literally, it's like I'm looking at the messages. I've got our Slack communications. And I gave him like this big paragraph. I'm like, here's what you need to do, man. Here's what's going on. And I like kind of like told him what he didn't want to hear, but what he needed to hear. And then that last message was on December 10th. He just sent me a big paragraph today. I want to take a moment, express my gratitude for everything that you've done. Me in November 22 and me in March 23 are completely different people. Thank you for being part of that transformation. March 2022, 35,000 in sales. March 2023, 106,000 in sales.
Wow.
And 45,000 pending, with 3 more estimates today. And who knows how many by March 31st. My closing rate is over 60%. And all of this because I started using some of your advice.
How about that, bro? That's awesome.
So I literally got like goosebumps. I was like tearing up. I'm like, this is why I do it. Because you can't get that result buying someone leads.
No.
Doing Facebook ads for somebody. It's so.
Yeah, your passion shines through for this. And I think that's what our industry needs. Guidance is important. I was telling you the last time we spoke, there's three legs to the to the ecosystem of higher level growth in any industry. And I feel like, obviously you have your marketing, you have your software, and you have your coaching. I think there's more, but those 3 stand out to me the most. And I think when it comes to coaching, you kind of bridge together the two. And that's really neat. I think you have you're in it, man. And I think that's super cool that you can impact people. And ultimately, you and I both know changing someone's business can change their life, and that's the deeper connection, man. I think it's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. I was moved a bit too.
So in our training, we have the online videos to help you get the base, the understanding of what you need to do. Then we provide like the resources that you need, the scripts, the spreadsheets, the different documents, hook you up with the designers to get your stuff done. We should hook you up with like where to get stuff printed and what you should be doing when. So that's the training component. Then we have the coaching component. So right now we're doing two live calls a week, 2 group calls, anywhere from like, 20 to actually on the office hours ones are more like 5 to 10, but a weekly call anywhere from like 20 to 30 guys and a few girls come on. And we drop some new content. We'll, problem solve issues that people are having, hear some stories and work on some stuff. And they're just like great, like camaraderie, a lot of learning, a lot of direction. On Tuesday this week, we did Q2 planning. And how many painters do you think, on average, typically do a quarterly planning session?
Not many.
Not many. So we're laying out goals. We're laying out lead flow goals, production goals, earning goals, what they want their time to be like, what they want their business to be like. And painters just don't typically do this type of goal setting. So we did that. We do open office hours. So we have like group coaching. We also offer support. So as much one-on-one support as you need as you go through various challenges. We do a weekly outreach to you, personal one-on-one outreach every single week for your first month to make sure that you're getting on the right track. And then we have a wonderful community. So we use Slack as our community. We have a couple hundred contractors in there, painters in there. And it's just, great, positive community, ideas, problems. Hey, you want to bid on this? Well, you're not going to get negative responses if you got a question about pricing, because like we're all in a positive community together. I see you guys in this group making fun of people for asking about pricing. Hey, we all have to start somewhere, right? It's not like we're not allowed to get started.
I remember having an exterior estimate I had to do. I had no clue how to price it, really. I looked on YouTube. I just didn't want to lose the job. That's where it comes from. It's like you don't want to price yourself out of a job. And I think I've created this group in a way to make it to where, we encourage you to ask how much. You'll get your people that just like get mad at that. But generally speaking, you'll get a lot of help, So.
For sure. Like on the office hours call today, we had a client, Christina, who's got this huge project she's bidding on. It's like the biggest project she's ever done. And she's like, hey, I'm like really nervous about like making this bid. Like I got it from a realtor. I'm probably going to get the job with whatever I bid, but like, I really don't want to lose money. Sure. So we're like talking about the various aspects of it, pulling it up on Google Maps, like breaking it down, figuring out charge rate and hours and what material and labor percentage and profit margins. And at the end of it, I was like, hey, we'll work your numbers again and then send me a DM later today once you do. She's like, okay, great. I feel great about it now. So little things like that can be really helpful on a day-to-day side and not just like watch this video, do the thing.
Yeah. And that's important. It is. I think just having, again, like day-to-day operations, a resource, a community, so important, man. You're not in this alone. It's good stuff, Mike. I'd love to see it, man. I know that we talked a little while ago, a year or two ago about what you were doing on the marketing side. I was impressed, but I think you're going to really hit your stride on this. I love it. I'm a huge endorser of paintergrowth.com. Great domain.
Yeah. Well, Sherwin also has sees the value in this, and we have a supply agreement. We're just waiting on some stuff from legal. So we're going to have like some paint and materials and marketing support, as extra support from Sherwin for our clients, which is great. And actually on Tuesday, if anyone wants, I'm doing what I call a masterclass live, free to join. Just go to paintergrowth.com. That's just redirected to the masterclass registration page right now.
What date is that? Because people might listen. Tuesday, what's that date?
Tuesday the 28th at 1 o'clock Eastern.
Okay.
So go to paintergrowth.com and you can register. Like I said, it's free. And it'll be about an hour. We're just going to talk like, all things marketing. Got a few concepts that we're going to take you through in some depth. And show you how to get involved. And that's what I got.
Love it, man. Mike, I'm fired up. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate your wisdom, knowledge, excitement for the industry. You're bringing it. I know that we'll collab in some way or another down the line. Appreciate you, man. I think this was helpful, and I'm excited to see where you take this. And anyone listening to this, give this guy a shot. Paintergrowth.com. Thanks, man.
Paintergrowth.com. All right. Thanks, Tanner. Peace, everyone.